I'm Jenna.
I'm Hayden.
And today we're going to be talking about usage for the English section. And the very first thing we're going to talk about with usage is called subject-verb agreement. The basis of subject-verb agreement is that singular subjects belong with singular verbs and plural subjects belong with plural verbs. Now, a quick rule of thumb is that singular subjects usually do not have an S, while singular verbs usually do have an S. So for example, we have Sophie kicks the soccer ball. Sophie's my subject, singular because there's only one person, no S. However, kicks, my verb, is singular, but there is an S. On the other hand, plural subjects usually do have an S, while plural verbs usually do not have an S. So for example, the birds travel long distances. Birds is my subject, plural because there are many birds. My verb, travel, is plural, but it does not have an S. If that helps you, just remember opposites for there.
So like Jenna said, that's a good rule of thumb. There are some weird words though. For singular subjects, anything that ends in body, one, or thing, or bot words as we call them, are always going to be singular. So this would be anything like everybody, everyone, everything, anybody, things like that. They're always singular, so you have to have a singular verb to match it. So example, everyone in the room talks at once. Singular subject, singular verb. For plural subjects, both, few, many, several are all words that are going to be plural even though they don't end in an S. So both of the cats hate him, we've got our plural subject, plural verb to match. Words like some, any, all, none, and most can be singular or plural, and those words are going to rely on the context of the sentence for you to be able to tell if they're singular or plural, usually by a prepositional phrase that follows it. So like for this one, some of the house is furnished, all of the house is furnished, or all of the tables are inside. The difference of house versus tables make those singular and plural differently. If this one says, if the subject begins with one of, then it's always going to be a singular subject because we know that we're only talking about one no matter how many things follow. So one of the girls walked to the market, even though there are a bunch of girls, we're only talking about one.
And another thing with subject-verb is when you have a compound subject. So if the two subjects are joined by and, you're always going to use a plural verb. So for example, we have Patrick and his cats ate dinner together. Because we have that and joining my subjects, plural verb. However, it gets a little tricky when you have or. So if two subjects are joined with or, then the noun closest to the verb determines if the verb is singular or plural. This is a really important grammar rule to remember because we don't often do this when we're talking. So for example, the tutors or Patrick was teaching. That sounds really awkward, but it's technically grammatically correct because although we have two subjects, they're joined by or. Patrick is closest to the verb and Patrick is singular, so therefore our verb needs to be singular as well. However, if we said Patrick or the tutors, we would say were teaching, because in this case, tutors is closest to the verb, it's plural, so we need that plural verb right there.
When you're attacking a subject-verb question, there are some steps that you can go through to simplify it and really see just the core of the sentence to make the most educated guess as your answer choice. So the first thing you're going to do, identify subject and verb, cross out unnecessary phrases, replace the subject with it if it's singular or they if it's plural, and then choose the verb options that fit the rule. So we're going to do this with this example sentence. So in this sentence, Lily, a grade student who, as a senior in high school, got a 36 in the ACT, is an ACT tutor. All of that, our subject is just the one word, Lily. Our verb in this whole long thing is the word is at the end of the sentence. Our unnecessary phrases are everything in the middle. A grade student who, as a senior in high school, got a 36 on the ACT. We can cross all of those out and still have a complete sentence, just without all the extra fluff. Because we're dealing with a singular subject, we're going to replace Lily with it, and then all we're left with is it is, because we have that singular verb. So it is a correct sentence, so that's how we know that this sentence has correct subject and verb agreement.
Okay, so we're going to run through an ACT sample question together. This one says, the editors of our triannual literary magazine is kept busy all year with a wide variety of tasks. Our answer choices are no change, keeps, are kept, and has been keeping. So just like we just did with our previous example, we're going to identify our subject, our verb, and then cross out all unnecessary phrases to make sure we have the correct agreement there. So our subject here is editors, and our verb is. And we have an unnecessary phrase in between those. That prepositional phrase of our triannual literary magazine is unnecessary. So you want to cross that out either physically or mentally. And I think that does that here. Yes, perfect. So if we take that out, we have the editors is kept busy. Editors, it's a plural verb. So we need that editors is a plural subject, so we need a plural verb to go with it. So editors does not match. The correct answer would be editors are. So that's why it's going to be answer choice C for this one. So that's why it's really important just to recognize any unnecessary phrases in between your subject and your verb and cross them out to make sure you have correct agreement.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about pronoun antecedent agreement. And just as a refresher, remember that a pronoun substitutes or takes the place of a noun, and that noun that is being taken the place of is the antecedent. So an antecedent must agree with the pronoun in the kind of noun, the number, and the gender, and we'll see some examples because that's kind of wordy to think of it that way.
Okay, so just like Hayden said, pronoun and antecedent have to agree in 3 things, so we're going to go through each of them right now. So the first is kind of noun. For example, Patrick had a stain on its shirt. My pronoun here is its, but my antecedent is Patrick. These don't match because Patrick is a person and its is a thing. So if you have a person, you want to go ahead and use a personal pronoun. So Patrick had a stain on his shirt. This matches because Patrick is a person and his also refers to a person. Okay, secondly, your pronoun and the antecedent have to agree in number. So for example, the new chairs have a plastic cover protecting it. Chairs is a plural antecedent, but it is a singular pronoun, so this does not match. So we'd want to say the new chairs have a plastic cover protecting them. Chairs is a plural antecedent, them is a plural pronoun, so these match. And lastly, your pronoun and your antecedent have to match in gender. This one's a little bit easier. So for example, we wouldn't really say Abe Lincoln tried to pass her resolution in Congress because we know Abraham Lincoln is a man and her is a female pronoun. So instead we want to say Abe Lincoln tried to pass his resolution in Congress.
To get a little trickier when we're dealing with an antecedent that is singular, specifically a BOT word that we were talking about earlier, the pronoun that you're going to use is going to be his or her, such as this example sentence, everyone wants to get his or her best score. So this one, remember, if it ends in that one, it's singular, so we need to use that his or her singular antecedents that hit both like men and women to cover that one. If the antecedent is plural, then our pronoun should be their. So both of Patrick's cats hate their owner. So both and their, they match because they're both plural. Remember when you're dealing with compound subjects, if you have an and between those subjects, that you're going to need a plural pronoun, but if it's or, then you're going to use a singular pronoun.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and walk through this sample question. It reads, teachers provide in-depth language understanding and children are rewarded for improving his or her communication skills. Okay, so our pronoun is underlined here and we have several choices. We could say his or her, one's, their or their. Our antecedent in this case is going to be children. Children is a plural antecedent, which tells us right away that I'm going to need to use a plural pronoun. The only plural pronoun that's given here is answer choice D, their. Their right here would not be correct because it's a different spelling of there and it actually is more like a location word. Like I went over there, I placed my book over there.